Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Triple Double Nation. Today we're looking at 7 possible teams Damian Lillard could be traded to. Let's get right into the video. To keep it succinct, a ton. Superstars of his caliber don't get traded often, but it obviously happens, and we have some recent examples to base our hypothetical trades on. James Harden cost the Nets their future draft stock for what felt like a decade when he was dealt this past winter. In actuality, it was 3 future first-rounders plus 4 future first-round pick swaps and a couple of promising young players in Jarrett Allen and Caris LeVert in a complicated 4-team deal that ultimately involved the Cavaliers and Pacers. Regardless, that's a ton. Anthony Davis cost the Lakers 3 good young players in Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, and Josh Hart, plus 3 future first-round picks when AD went to Los Angeles during the summer of 2019. That's a ton. The package the Clippers gave up for Paul George isn't the best example to use here, since Los Angeles had to offer up the farm to get playoff P from Oklahoma City, knowing that securing him via trade would mean Kawhi Leonard would join him via free agency. Anyway, George cost the Clippers a stupefying amount of draft picks. That's a ton. Even Drew Holiday, an excellent point guard with an awesome defensive resume balling out of the Bucks and the Eastern Conference Finals, cost Milwaukee 4 first-round picks for Holiday and for taking the bloated contract of Eric Bledsoe off its hands when that multi-team deal went down this past November. That's a ton. Top 10 NBA players, Harden and AD clearly qualify, are going to cost you an astronomical sum. Lillard's a top 10 player. We can argue about rankings another day, so expect the haul for him to cost a minimum of multiple first-round selections and ideally a couple of attractive young players. In terms of salary concerns of the team acquiring Lillard, well, it'll matter because math usually does when making trades in the NBA. Teams will find a way to absorb his huge number, and they can worry about those final 2 years of his deal down the road. Lillard signed a 4-year max extension in 2019, and he'll make 43, 47, 50, and 54 million a season over the next 4 campaigns. He's signed until he's 34. He's been incredibly durable. He's widely respected. He's a vicious competitor. He never hides from a big moment. Whatever team trades for him will get its money worth. Lillard, one assumes, would have a say in where he ends up going with all the cachet he's built up with the Blazers organization that drafted him out of Weber State in 2021. But as we've seen over the years, paging JJ Redick, a different caliber player than Lillard, I know. But remember how the Pelicans did him dirty. What a team promises and what they deliver is often different. Does Lillard prefer to stay on the West Coast? He's a native of Oakland and his family is basically based in the Bay Area or up in the Portland these days. Or does he opt for someplace back east where getting to the NBA Finals might be slightly easier? Does Lillard want to team up with a specific big man, or does he have his eye on an organization known for stability and a winning culture? Once upon a time, Lillard said he'd love to play in Utah or Los Angeles if things didn't work out in Portland, but that was ages ago in NBA life. Obviously, there are more questions here, but if Lillard truly becomes available, a bunch of contenders will take their best shot. As always, we'll offer up this disclaimer that consummating NBA trades are way more difficult than assumed, and we in the media tend to oversimplify the effort and packages. That being said, organizations across the NBA have been running all kinds of scenarios on their own trade machines following the news that Lillard may finally want out of Portland.
The post-up against Lowry. Instead, he's going to set a screen. Melo sends the screen. Dame for point line like Beasley. Rubio 29.4%. He shot 36% from 3 last year with Phoenix, so you feel like for him too it's a matter of time before he gets it.
Here's our best shot at coming up with some realistic transactions that place Dame time on a contender. Lillard to Philadelphia. We'll start off with a realistic spot, Philadelphia. The 76ers have a Ben Simmons problem, despite what GM Daryl Morey would have everyone believe, and while swapping Simmons for Lillard straight up wouldn't cut it for obvious reasons, it's a great starting point for our purposes. The 76ers need a point guard who isn't afraid to shoot in the playoffs, and the Blazers are going to need a point guard to replace theirs. As long as Dame is cool relocating to Philly, this makes sense. Sixers fans won't like having to throw in Tyrese Maxey and or Matisse Thybulle plus picks, but for the combo of Lillard and Embiid, you bite the bullet. Philadelphia probably has to part with more picks than we threw in, but Lillard for Simmons, Maxey, and Thybulle is doable, especially since the Sixers are getting out from under that horrifically expensive max contract Simmons carries. Lillard to New York. Since the Knicks are forever trying to find a competent point guard, expect to hear a lot of chatter about New York being a landing spot for Lillard. The Knicks are looking a whole lot more attractive these days after their surprising playoff appearance, and with young players plus enough draft capital, New York could make a serious run at Lillard. The starting point would be RJ Barrett and throwing in a couple of younger players like Mitchell Robinson and Emmanuel Quickley. Knicks fans that grew to love the 2020 and 2021 team filled with up-and-coming talent may cringe at losing a few of those names, but it's worth it for Lillard. New York obviously has to throw in multiple future first-round picks, but since they have so much cap space, they're one of the easiest places to send Lillard. Lighting things up in the Garden on a nightly basis could be highly attractive for Lillard. Lillard to Boston. If the new president of basketball operations get nuts by trading Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, Brad Stevens already jettisoned Kemba Walker to Oklahoma City, so the Celtics have a need at point guard heading into the offseason. While Boston has reportedly been reluctant to dangle Brown in various deals over the years, they might have to if pairing Lillard with Jason Tatum is deemed too good to pass up. In our opinion, it would be. Celtics fans would probably hate giving up the rugged Smart, but it feels like he's forever on the verge of finally being dealt, and you absolutely give up Smart to get Dame. Boston might need to throw in more picks to the Portland, but here's another successful hypothetical trade. Lillard to Miami. If you haven't heard, Heat culture is just different, and considering Lillard's desire to win, I don't doubt that he wouldn't fit in perfectly with Miami. If the Heat is willing to give up some of his young talent, it's totally doable considering the franchise will have cap space heading into free agency, especially if it doesn't re-sign Victor Oladipo. The prudent move. Tyler Herro and or Duncan Robinson have to be featured in this trade. So too does Precious Achiuwa, the impressive young forward Miami selected in last year's draft. Andre Iguodala has a team option to 21 and 22. The Heat do not have a ton of draft capital to work with, so that could possibly inhibit their pursuit of Lillard. But if Pat Riley wants him, you know the Heat godfather will move heaven and earth to team Dame time with Jimmy Butler. Lillard to Golden State. How much shooting do the Warriors really need? You can never have enough, and while this trade might qualify as far-fetched for a number of reasons, you'll hear plenty of people speculating about it, and quite frankly, it's easy sending Dame time to team up with the Splash Brothers and Draymond Green, since Golden State has the Andrew Wiggins contract and that highly attractive pick in July's NBA draft to offer up. Plus a few more picks of Von Looney might not be ultimately realistic to include in the trade, but we threw them in here. Lillard to Denver. This one is best classified as far-fetched because I have a hard time believing Portland would deal Lillard within the division, but we'll bite and cook up something featuring the Nuggets since they have the extremely attractive young scorer in Michael Porter Jr. to offer up as a centerpiece of a trade. Throwing in Aaron Gordon and his versatility can help make this happen. Imagine how much fun it would be watching Lillard and Nikola Jokic run the pick and roll. Lillard to Dallas. The Mavericks would be selling low on Kristaps Porzingis. He did not have a particularly great campaign, but struggles to stay on the court, and there have been rumblings he's frustrated in Dallas with his role. So in order to make this happen, they have to throw in multiple picks, plus super sub Jalen Brunson. Pairing Lillard with Luka Doncic could be a little awkward since they are dominant ball handlers, but hey, if Brooklyn can make it work with two walking buckets in the backcourt, why the hell can't the Mavericks?
Nurkic with the board. Saw how deep Robert was in help position? He basically abandoned Draymond Green. He knows the Warriors, they sniffed it out. Can't go high-low.
Rule to 2, but still, nonetheless, very impressive.
So casual.
Seconds to go in this first quarter. Temple defending. Dame, step back 3.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like rating down below and comment which team you think Dame will end up on. See you guys next time. Have a great day.